Welcome back. Now I'll be taking you on CSS border. Before we start, let's jump right into what CSS border is. Okay, we have CSS border property allows you to specify the style, width, color of an element border. Right? What is CSS border style? CSS border style property specifies what kind of border to display. The following values are: we have the dotted, the dash, the solid, double, grooved, rigid, insert, outset, none, and hidden. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, let's dive into our text editor right now. So I'll show you the examples of which of this CSS border style. Okay, now before we start, like our normal custom to upload a file on our text editor. All right, so now let's begin by uploading our file. Here I've created a file already called CSS border on my desktop. So I will just navigate to my desktop here. Navigate to my desktop here and I'll look for the folder called CSS border. Here we go. And I have clicked the folder called CSS border. So I'll just select the folder and wait till it gets loaded on our text editor. Right? Okay. So before it comes up, so since we've talked about the CSS border style, we said CSS border styles are properties that specify what kind of border to display. All right, and the following CSS border styles are dotted, dashed, solid, double, groove, rigid, insert, onset, inset, outset, none, and hidden. Okay, so like what? Okay, now our text editor is now opened. So what we'll do here now is to create a new file. You create an index file, name it index.html. okay, and also create a CSS style. Create a CSS file, name it style. No, sorry. So create a CSS file, name it style.css. okay. Okay, let's just wait while it loads. So before this CSS file comes up, let's start with our HTML. All right, like we normally do, we use okay, the doc type to be HTML. All right, okay, now our CSS file has been created. Okay, so we have the doc type HTML. All right, so now the next thing we do here, we use the HTML. Okay, all right, so the next thing we use the head. I presume we know all of this by now, right? Okay, all right, and next let's say we have the title. We have the title, and after the head here we have the body. Sorry, we have the body. Okay, now let's start. The title here, we'll call it CSS border. All right, now and remember we'll have a link tag because we are going to link our external CSS page to our HTML document. All right, so I think that is that for the head for now. So let's go to the body. So what exactly do we want to put inside our border? Let's say we want to put a p tag, like the paragraph tag, with a dummy text of lorem. Let's say lorem 200. So this will bring out a 200 character, 200 dummy text character. All right, so bring out 200 dummy text character. Okay, as you can see. Okay, all right. So sorry. So let's save. All right, now we have our 200 200 words of dummy text. Okay, so now let's try and run this and see how the text looks like on our browser. Okay, I think it doesn't want to open, so let's use another method. Okay, so just come here, click on this, double click on this, let it open. You double click on that so that it will open. Okay, okay, still coming up. Still coming up. Okay, and this is what we got. And this is what we got for the p tag. All right, we have this for our p tag. So now let's style this by using the CSS border property. Okay, let's style it by using the CSS style property, border style property, sorry. So what exactly do we want to style here? We could just say we want to style our p, which is our property. I want to style it. I want to give it a border style of border style of dotted. All right. So let's see how it looks here on our browser. Refresh. p elements. Why is that not working? Alright, so let's see if I give this a class. Let's see if it will work. Give it a class of give it a class of dotted. So go back to our CSS. Go back to our CSS, and now we have the class of dotted. So let's see if this will work. Still, oh sorry, yeah, I think I know the fault. I know the fault right here. We did not link. We haven't linked the CSS page. So I forgot stuff like this often. I always forgot to do stuff like this. So we have the rails to be style sheets. Okay, have the rail to be style sheet, and href to be style.css. okay, so let's do this and see if it will run. And yeah, we have it. So let's still cancel this. And please always remember, whenever you have an external file, always remember to link them with up with your HTML file, else it won't work. Just like I did the other time. You see, we're still having our border. Okay, we're still having our border. So let's go back to our text editor and let's copy the whole of this text and paste it into different parts. And let's see, so that we'll see the okay, Control C, so that we'll see the different type of border that we'll have. Put a line break. Okay, Control V, we paste. Put a line break again. Control V, we paste. Put a line break again. Control V, we paste. Put a line break again. Control V, we paste. So put a line break again, and Control V, we paste. All right, so okay, so what I'm going to do here now, since we have the same p tag, so what I'm going to do to differentiate each of the p tag now is like I'll give them a class. This I might give it a class called dashed. Okay, so though this, we already know that this is the first one here. We already know that this first one here is our dotted border, already has our dotted border. So let's give the rest an identification, so we're able to identify it on our CSS page. All right, so let's give this a class of let's give this a class of solid border. Let's give this a class of solid border, and let's give this class of double. Alright, give this a class of double, and let's give this a class of, let's give this a class of groove. Okay, let's give it a class of groove. And let's give this give this a class of we'll give this a class of rigid. So I think that is the last paragraph. Okay, this is the last paragraph. So now let's go to our CSS and style each of these paragraphs. Okay, now for here, now we have the next one. Now we have the p tag with the class dashed. Alright, so now let's style this and give it a border style. Give it a border style of dashed. Okay, so we have the next one to be p tag with a class of solid. Sorry, that's not the spelling of solid. A class of solid. Border style of solid. Alright, so a p tag with the class of groove. P tag with a class of groove. So let's give to a border style of groove. Okay, so how many p tags do we have and how many have we styled? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we start. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next one we have p tag with the class of double. Okay, give it a border style of double. So which one haven't I done? Rigid. So a p tag with a class of rigid, which has a border style of rigid. Okay, so save this and let's see how this looks in the browser. Okay, refresh. Now we all see how this look in a browser. Now we have this first one here has a border called dotted. Has a border called dot. The first one here has a border called dotted. The second one here has a border called dashed. The third one here has a border called solid. The fourth one here has a border called double border. The fifth one here has a border called has a border called groove, and the last one here has a border called rigid. Okay, now that we've seen the different types of CSS border, so now the next thing we are going to do here now is to set out the CSS width, the CSS border width. Okay, and the CSS border width CSS border width property specifies the width of the 4 borders. Okay, the width can be set at a specific size in pixels, pt, cx, centimeter, em, etc. by using one of these 3 predefined values: thin, medium, or thick. Now the CSS, now what I'm trying to say now, the CSS border property can have from 1 to 4 value. Okay, for the top border we have the top border, the right border, the bottom border, and the left border. Okay, so those are the 4 values for border width. Okay, so now what am I going to do? I'm going to style the border for each one of these, p tag element that we have here. So we have the border style already. You have the border style of this to be dotted, so let's give it a border width. Give it a border width to be 5 pixels. Alright, so let's come to this one, give it a border width to be let's say medium. Alright, now the next one, let's give it a border width to be okay. What I'm going to do here now is to specify the border width for the top, for the right border, for the bottom border, and for the left border. So once you want to set the border width for all the 4 values of border width, let's say the first value here stands for, let's say we have 2 pixels. This first 2 pixels here represent the top border. All right, the first 2 pixels here represent what? The top border. All right, the second value here, which says 10 pixels, represents the right border. Okay, the second value, 10 pixels, represent the right border, and the third value here, 4 pixels, represent the bottom border. All right, the 4 pixels here represent the bottom border, and we have the left border to be 20 pixels. Okay, so this is how you specify all the 4 values of border width. Okay, the 2 represents the top, the 10 represents the right border, the 4 represents the bottom border, and the 20 represents the left border. All right, so now after doing that, now let's move to this one and give it our own styling. So like I said earlier, you can use the border have 3 predefined value, which is thin, medium, or thick, and already we've used medium here. So now let's use the other predefined border value. Let's make this one thin. Okay, so let's set this one to be border width, and let's set it to be thick. Let's make this one thick. Okay, and also this one, let's set the border for the four parts. Border width, let's say we have 5 pixels top, 5 pixels top, we have 15 pixels right, 15 pixels right, we have 2 pixels bottom, and we have 20 pixels left. So let's save this and run it on our browser and see how it looks. Okay, so now, alright, this is exactly how the border will look after we added the width. Okay, now added the width. The first one here says 5 pixels. Okay, we have 5 pixels from the top. Okay, 5 pixels from the top, which is 5 pixels from the top, and the second one says medium. We set the border width to be medium, and which is the one with dashed, which is this, we set it to medium. Okay, so for the solid, we set the border width from the top to be 2 pixels, the right to be 10 pixels, the bottom to be 4 pixels, and the left to be 20 pixels. So now this is how it looks. This is it, the top border. Now you can see the difference. Alright, so without me wasting much time, so let's go straight to the border color. How do we add border color to our web pages? How do we make how do we do the CSS border color styling? Okay, border color property is used to set the color of the 4 borders. The color can be set by the way you can set your color is by, say for example, this is not a code, this is just, okay, for us to set our border color now, we use the following. First, we set the name. We set the name of the border. Okay. Next, we put the color. We will put the color in the hex format, hexadecimal format, or we use the RGB format. Okay. And next, we can also make our border transparent. Alright, so this is what we are going to do next to add a border color to what we've already had before. Okay, now for us to do that, now what we're going to do is just to add the border color property to each one of these to each one of these p tag. Okay, so we have the border color. So we have the border color of this now to be let's use this one, let's say yellow. We have the border color of this to be yellow. Alright, so we have the border color of this to be yellow. So let's give this a border color, let's give this a border color of blue. Okay, let's give this a border color of blue. So let's also give this a border color of let's give this a border color of let's give this a, we have blue, we have yellow, we have blue. Let's see red. Okay, let's give this a border color. Let's give this a border color of let's say green. Okay, so you can use any border, any type of color you want. So these are the colors I want to use. Okay, set the border color of this to be brown. Okay, set border color, set the border color to be, set the border color now to be let's say pink. Okay, so now let's run this on our browser and see how they look like. Alright, now you see we have, did I jump anyone? Pink. Okay, rigid. I think I did jump one. Green. There's still one showing black. Which one could that be? Okay, well, so you see we have the yellow, the blue, the red, the brown, the black, and the pink border color. Alright, so this is how you add border color to your this is how you add border color to your borders. Okay, this is how you add color to your borders. Alright, so and that will be all for border. So see you in the next class. The next class we're going to have the margin, the CSS margin. Okay, now see you in the next class, and please stay tuned. See you in the next class. Bye.